Thank you for your interest in one-source transfer pricing. Today, I'm going to give an overview of our transfer pricing solution set, mainly focusing on benchmarking databases for transfer pricing. I'll go through a typical benchmarking process and show that in the software, and I'll also explain some of the key benefits arising out of using our database. So, a quick overview of the time accounting business of Thomson Reuters. It's a leading providers of technology and integrated information solutions to accounting, tax, and corporate professionals. In the Thomson Reuters Tax and Accounting Suite, we have one-source transfer pricing suite, and as you can see from your screen, it is a very comprehensive solution set, touch every area of transfer pricing lifecycle, starting from documentation, benchmarking, additional transfer pricing, all about implication, managing intercompany agreements, CBCR and BEPS Action Manager help with the BEPS Action plans, particularly on CBCR reporting, and transfer pricing process management. These solutions are for corporates, professionals, and governments. Our clients span across all of these industry segments. On our benchmarking databases, though, for transfer pricing, we have 4 specific databases. The first 2 are our worldwide public and worldwide private company data. These are Thomson Reuters proprietary databases. We do also have certain partnerships with third parties and other business units within Thomson Reuters, where we provide one platform access to intangibles data from KT Mine, loan or financial data from Thomson Reuters Deal Scan, and also Moody's credit scoring model. So as you can see from the screen, it is a one-stop shop for all of the standard or typical benchmarking requirements for transfer pricing. In today's demonstration, I'm going to really focus on the first 2, which is our worldwide private and worldwide public database. Upon what are the advantages or benefits of using one-source benchmark. 2 is not just a database, it is a solution. So while the quality of the data is very important, we do have additional features to make the benchmarking process very efficient. It's a very intuitive and easy to use interface, so it's easy to adopt to new technology and also onboard new members. You collaborate within the software, you can leverage each other's work. There are a lot of efficiency features such as copy from and year-on-year updates. If there's a very similar fact pattern, you could leverage existing services very easily. You can also generate a lot of the reports automatically. So doing the work is one thing, but if you need to document that for any particular reason, you can do that, such as a typical transfer pricing report that you need to provide to a tax authority, or for a tax authority to just have a record of what the work they've done, and generate automatic reports out of this, where all the relevant tables and criteria have been created. Doing the analysis, the tool does not do the analysis. It generates reports to you for you in a very easy way. This is a TP-specific database. It's been built mainly for our TP clients, and therefore there are few comparables that have no data or inactive data. It is a global database, so sitting in your location, you could do good searches. As I said earlier, we cover all key transactions, and this is modular, so you could just the goods and services module or the loans module and so on. There are other features, of course, in how we provide support, our pricing mechanism, and we are sort of a good partner for you for the TP lifecycle and the technology automation that you may want to do in that. Overview, I'm going to jump into the solution. So this is how transfer pricing benchmark solution looks like. As you can see, there are quite a few other modules here. This is about how to create a local file and master file, but I'm not really going to go into that today. The module we are focusing on is in the benchmarking module. So I'm going to go through the process of creating a search. As you can see, this is the place or the screen where all the searches that you're working on will be listed, and you have a quick overview on what type of the search, what status of the search, and how many accepts you have. You can e-copy. You can just click on a search and copy in a version we created. So this is how you leverage the work that you've already done. First thing is to create a new search. So I hit new, and I hit a name. So I hit test. Start date. Again, you can pick either 2017 or 2016, depending on the tested party and the financial year of the tested party. Depending on the date you're picking and the year, relevant tax year you pick here, the financial data will be published or shown to you on the screen. So for example, if I pick December 2017 here, then and relevant tax year is 3, it'll give me data for years 15, 16, and 17. I then pick the data source. Either I can pick Thomson Reuters Fundamental, which is our public company data, or I can pick our worldwide private company database. You can do both of the searches in one place or keep them as separate searches, entirely up to you. We have publications a year, once every quarter, and one extra publication in May. So to access historical publications and choose editors for your work. You do select a template for when I'm doing a search in our public company data, which is Thomson Reuters Fundamentals, and here are the definitions of the various templates and how the operating income and operating expense is defined. So you could just pick a template which most closely suits your needs. You're just going to move through each stage one by one, and you can either click through the left here, or you could click next and go to the next stage. So I'm going to do a good of creating a set criteria. So this is where we will put in all the keys on the entire database and getting the the types of companies that we really want in our initial analysis. Okay, see here I have two screens, one for fundamentals and one for private company. At the first step, I'm going to create a very simple search. So the first thing I would do is put zip codes, put in. For example, I'm going to do a search for a textile manufacturer. So I'm going to use zip codes relevant to that. And in this case, I know that I could use zip codes 2299 and onwards. So let me just quickly find that zip code. So string or textile goods, I start from that. And I either select zip codes one by one using the equal function, or I can say between and select a range of zip codes. So I have both options, and I can use additional combinations of these. So for example, here I'm going 2299, and then I want to go to the very end for anything that is dealing with textile or related manufacturing. I'm going to go all the way till 2399, which is fabricated textile products. Now, if I wanted to add another set of zip codes, I just put add, and I can just say equal to and select anything else. If I don't want it, I hit delete, as simple as that. There are features here, and you know how I can create a search, but to keep it simple for a first demonstration, I'm going to put zip codes, and then I'm going to add a domicile region. Again, I have the option to select country and keep adding the types of countries here from the drop-down box. So if I wanted to pick something in Asia, I could do that. But if I wanted to keep it simple and make it a region, I select region and I say, okay, Pacific, Asia, and I have all of these options around which region I want to select. And definitions of what countries that form these regions are available in the help button. Now I'm just going to go with Asia Pacific. to put an ownership filter. So I can put any number. It's a very simple process. I can put either 50% or 25%, depending on my local regulations. I'm going to put 50% here. I can put other financials and ratios here, but I would, depending on how I've seen other clients use it, I'm just keeping it simple in terms of codes, region, and independence filter for the first analysis. Update, and this will tell me how many comparables am I going to get using this particular approach, and just on my public company data. I have 322 companies. Now, if I felt this was not enough, I can have different options to expand my data set. So typically, transfer pricing is a very iterative process. So I could say that I want to add a set, and I want to have a different set of SIC codes, or I want to use some keywords. So I'm saying, irrespective of whatever the SIC code is, I want to put in any company in the database that has a business description of apparel or a business description of cloth, that for me, and replicate the other criteria filters that I put in earlier for the first set so that I'm being very consistent. Go ahead and put the Asia Pacific region and put the 50%. This is one way of expanding a search. This is not the only way. This is an example. You could have a different region that could be a different criteria set. It really depends on what your scope is. So now I have 632 comparables, so it's really expanded my set. What the database is doing is it's looking at common companies, removing it. So here you have 900 companies if you add the two, but only 100 are unique companies because there will be something which is common between the two. Now, if you wanted to do it the other way around, if you said, actually, I don't want 322 companies, I don't want such a broad set of textile products, and I want to be very specific, and this is just an example, I could say I want only companies who are manufacturing, So in transfer pricing, we typically don't go so specific in products. It's more functional comparability, but just for an example, I'm saying, if you wanted to be very specific and you're adding some keywords within the same criteria set, your number of comparables will fall. So you come like 70. So you're very, very specific. So what criteria sets do is really help you either narrow or expand a search. Anything that you do within a criteria set is like an AND function. It's narrowing your search. Anything you do in a separate criteria set is an OR function, or really expanding your search. Next, if you want to replicate in private company, you can do that. Again, we see a lot of different viewpoints across the region on whether you use private company or not. We see a lot of organizations and firms who do like using private company. There are others who would reuse private company data. So it really depends on your point of view on that. Having said that, in the region, it is quite hard to get private company data, and our real focus is on public company, but we do have private company data if that is of interest to you. So the thing we would do is maybe from a clean slate, so delete anything that's existing and just say, I'll add a set, but I really want to copy what I have already done for my public company. I need to be consistent. So if you see this, the test search I'm doing, I'm going to say, actually, let's copy across from mentors. So copying my criteria set, the only thing that I'll need to add is, or replicate, which doesn't happen automatically, is the ownership. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And hit update. And I have a much broader set because I'm looking at both public company data together. Keep iterating and hitting update to see the impact of various changes you make in the search and your sense of how many companies are out there. So in this case, now you have 1,000-odd companies, 100 from the private company database and 600-odd from the public company. is bulk rejection, so you can ignore manual comps. That's for very unusual situations where you're looking at data which is not in the database, you just want to bring it in. So rarely used, you just go bulk rejection. And this is where you're really filtering the data for certain quantitative criteria which is relevant to you, having looked at your the tested party that you are looking at. So we preset filter criteria. You can see it's quite comprehensive, but we also provide you the option to create your own custom criteria. I'm going to show you a simple example so you can get a sense of how this is used. For example, I want to say total net sales. If it's greater than, or rather, if total net sales is lesser than or equal to $1 million, I want to reject it. So I'm really saying you don't want to look into a lot of small companies. I'm sticking to US dollar, but you have all of these currencies that you can use for the analysis. Apply rejection, and it cull down my search from the 1,000 odd to maybe a few hundred will get at this stage. So this looks like reject if total net sales is less than $1 million. So I don't have really a lot of small companies, and I lost only about 16 comparables. And then do other such as if net sales is missing or if my operating income detail is missing. All of these options are available for me to use. The first review, where I am really doing a detailed analysis of the company. So do it in the small screen here, so I can just expand a few of these and look at it. Or what our clients really prefer is looking at this screen. Here I can review the business description, auditables, income statement, balance sheet, PL, pretty much all of the information we have on the company is in the screen. I then make a decision on whether I want to accept or reject a company. And once I've made the decision, I go to the next one, and I keep going through that process of accepting or rejecting or saying that a company, I'm not really sure, and therefore it's questionable. If a company, I get the option to put a rejection reason. I can create my own rejection reason through this option of Manage Global Reasons. I have a new reason that I create, and select that from the box. I'm just picking one here, and I then keep going with the process. So I'm going to select a few so that I can then get a range. So I'm just going to select a few in bulk and change this to accept. After some comparables, I can also, just as I go through the process, I can have a look at the range so I can decide if I want to, what is the PLI I want to look at, and keep telling me as I accept more companies what is my range looking like. I export this information, so I can export taxpayer names, descriptions, financial data in some form or expanded form. One type of an export is this, so you can see data of the company in a lot of detail. You can export Excel. Right. Go into the second stage or second review. Again, you can do all analysis in first stage itself, but some clients would prefer a two-stage review. The first stage is business description. The second stage could be a more detailed review of the website. The feature and the process is pretty similar. You just have a bigger space to write a longer explanation, but otherwise the process is very similar. So you could go ahead and, if you're very happy with the set of comparables you have, you could go ahead and accept all of them, just so that it moves through the process to the next stage. The export functionality is pretty similar other than the matrix report, so that's something that you have in the second review, which is not available in first review. The matrix report, it looks something like this, where the entire search is summarized in one sheet. So which stage did you reject comparables? Was it bulk rejection? Was it first review, second review, and so on, with summary of the rejection reasons. So all of that is summarized in one page. You can go into range overview. This is a remote search, so the range may not make sense, but this is where your set automatically calculated. You can see here there's some data missing. So one of the things you could do is in bulk rejection, put in the filters that says if financial data is not available, reject, and so on. Some 2017 data is harder to get, especially it's quite early in the year in terms of private company data. So typically you would see clients use 14 to 16 rather than 15 to 17. You would find also that public companies, maybe by now more than 50–60% of the data is available, but private companies could take up to a year depending on the local regulations on when they need to file, and from there the data needs to come into our system. You export the data out into Excel, and after the entire analysis, you can export the entire report into a Word-like document, which looks something like this, where you have your site criteria set is created automatically. So whatever analysis you did, you had in certain boxes, your bulk rejections, the selected taxpayer, selected comparable companies, business description, PLI calculation, and entire appendices on how companies were rejected. So this is really an efficiency feature which you don't have to spend time creating these tables. Those are automatically created for you based on the work you have done. So a very quick overview of how you would go about creating a search and going through the entire benchmarking process. Just summarizing that in this slide. So I showed you how to select a database, either just one or two in the same file, how to create filters such as SIC codes, keywords, regions, etc. You do bulk rejections where you could do financial data availability, thresholds, and ratios. You do detailed review in 2 stages. It could be, or you could do it in 1 stage depending on your particular processes that you use, and have your PLI calculations. I do have other features around doing working capital adjustments, but I'm showing that for today's first demo. And you saw the report drafting. And the entire aim of this process is to ensure that you're able to do benchmarking searches that are consistent, which is very important in transfer pricing. If you have a similar fact pattern as an organization, you want to ensure you have some approaches to it, ensuring your search is of good quality, and also is efficient, and you have good control over the entire process. So these are the key objectives on how we have set up this database or solution. Thanks for your time and interest.